It's no secret that Twitter sucks, like really hard. Even before Elon Musk acquired it for $44 billion in October of 2022, it was still pretty shit. And I think a lot of people tend to forget that, mainly because the new Twitter, which I refuse to call X, has been overrun with so many goddamn issues and problems, it makes the Jack Dorsey era look like heaven in comparison. Porn bots and fake accounts everywhere run by artificial intelligence, rage baiting and engagement farming to try to profit off of people's already dire emotions with the current state of the world. Rampant and extremely blatant bigotry and misinformation of all kinds that seems to get rewarded somehow. It's really just a dumpster fire of a social media platform at this point. Despite all of these problems, I will say that Twitter has one thing that keeps me and millions of others using it to this day. It's the fact that it's our dumpster fire. There are still over 600 million monthly active users on Twitter in 2025. And while that number is slowly shrinking because of all the terrible and idiotic decisions made by that rat bastard Elon Musk, that's still a huge number of people. And the big reason behind this is because of, honestly, a lack of good competition. People are eager and desperate to leave, but there's no good alternatives out there to justify the move. There's definitely a lot of websites and social media apps out there who want to be the next Twitter and actually try and make it good, but none of them really have the user bases or features to get people to stick around and actually use it. No, go on, tell me with a straight face you actively use Threads. Yeah, exactly. One of these competitors is a rival site to Twitter you've probably at least heard of called Bluesky. And today I'm gonna tell you all about how the hype train for the definitive Twitter killer ultimately crashed and burned once people realized how bad of a website it was. Now, as I mentioned before, Twitter has always sort of been a shitty website when it comes to the kinds of tweets and posts you'd see on your page. For all you veterans out there, you might remember a period of time on the internet known as the Great Tumblr Migration of 2018, in which the website Tumblr decided it would be a good idea to announce that they would be banning all NSFW and adult content on their platform starting December 17th, 2018. Why? Well, the CEO at the time, Jeff D'Onofrio, claims it was to harbor a more wholesome, friendly, and inviting community. But he also said he wanted more discussions about sexuality and sex positivity, so which one is it? Do you want people to be able to share adult content and discuss the topic or not? Well, it turns out the real reason was because Apple decided to remove Tumblr from the App Store. So in order to save face, they decided to ban all adult content to try and appease the larger corporations. At the end of the day, it really just came down to money. Go figure. People were rightfully pissed, especially because even mild and tasteful pieces of adult content like figure drawings and artistic nudity had people's accounts permabanned with their appeals rejected.
We're also proud to announce a new update. No more photos! After all, a photo or a piece of art could contain a big old dick, and we know none of you want to see that. Unless it's a photo of a male presenting nipple. Then that's fine, whatever the fuck that means.
This public outcry eventually led to a mass migration of pissed off Tumblr users to other similar websites that did allow adult content. Some reports say that Tumblr lost up to 30% of its user traffic in December of 2018. Those Tumblr users eventually settled on Twitter as their new social media platform to post on. And people did not like this one bit. Tumblr's reputation online, according to the public, up until then was not very good. They were seen as a bunch of SJW cancel culture supporting crybabies that would accuse you of being a fascist for obvious jokes. Now, I don't think it's fair to label every Tumblr user like this, but let's be honest, a lot of them are very insufferable and annoying, which can really be chalked up to the fact that most of them were teenagers who were just getting into politics for the first time and kinda didn't know what they were doing. This made the Twitter ecosystem very bad. Just call-out posts about bullshit every 7th tweet, constant fighting and pointless arguments about nothing, harassment, doxing, bullying, negativity, you name it. This is before Elon took over, so as you can imagine, things got much worse when he came around. Elon promised a lot of things when he bought Twitter, most of which either never happened or were complete lies. One example would be the bot problem. In early 2022, Elon infamously tried to weasel his way out of actually buying the company 3 separate times because he claimed that the site was overrun with bots. Now, I will admit that there were definitely bots, spam, and fake accounts, but number one, every website that has a large user base is going to have at least some bots trying to scam people. It just comes with the territory. And number two, this claim was a huge exaggeration because there were significantly less bots on Twitter back then, at least compared to 2025 where they are rampant. Elon ended up buying Twitter anyway because he realized he'd be sued if he didn't, and would definitely lose the case if he took it to court. After buying Twitter, he claimed that 90% of the scams were gone with his new paid verification system, which isn't remotely true in the slightest. Go to any popular post with a lot of likes and just check the replies. It's unrelated spam, fake accounts trying to sound like they're human, porn bots promoting OnlyFans, crypto bullshit, etc. The whole thing is just a huge fucking mess. In fact, ever since you've been able to monetize your engagements on Twitter, things have gotten significantly worse. Oftentimes, large gimmick accounts who make posts relating to a certain topic end up being sold to someone else and driven to the ground. Here are some examples. Earth Updates got sold and immediately tried to rage bait people by using beloved dead YouTuber Cooking with Linja in order to make money. Rare Insults got sold and just started posting crop porn to promote OnlyFans girls for money. Like, what the fuck does this have to do with Rare Insults? Creepy.org got sold and... Actually, you know what? This is really creepy. Internet Hall of Fame, sold to promote some bullshit sex product that obviously doesn't work for money. Images that make you feel pain, sold to do more engagement farming by getting OnlyFans girls to advertise themselves in the replies. This is like a third of large gimmick accounts, and it's really annoying every time it happens. And ever since AI and ChatGPT got thrown into the mix, bots have only become better at making you mad or getting you to engage with them. Another huge thing has been the amount of stupid conspiracy theories and genuinely despicable stuff that's been allowed to thrive on the platform with little to no moderation in sight. In fact, most of what I'm seeing on my timeline nowadays is just out of context clips that are trying to start a race war. You know, Elon branded himself as this free speech god that would legalize comedy on Twitter. Except the moment people began to make fun of him, he threw a hissy fit and started banning any account that criticized him or made jokes at his expense. He also says he's anti-censorship, but bans words like cis because he considers it a slur somehow. But when it comes to Hitler Cunny Rapist 1488 calling some of the hard R N-word, that's completely fine, I guess. It's even worse if you're an artist, because Twitter actively uses your artwork to train AI models without your permission. It's terrible for anyone who wants to use the site like a normal person. I could go on and on about all the problems Twitter at its current state has, but I mention these things mostly for context, and the reason why so many people are desperate for a decent competitor. Enter the actual topic of the video, Bluesky. Bluesky initially started as a project by Jack Dorsey, founder of Twitter, to decentralize social media and put users in control with their feed, following, and accounts in 2019. Instead of having one or two corporations decide who owns your data and what content you get to see via the algorithm, Bluesky was supposed to let the users decide what they wanted individually. Things went relatively well for a few years as it was being developed by a third party and overseen/funded by Twitter in 2021. By early 2022, the company developing the app called Bluesky Social hired their first few employees and were slowly establishing themselves as something different yet connected to Twitter. Then, as you know, in October of 2022, Elon reluctantly buys Twitter and immediately cuts funding to Bluesky, severing all financial and legal ties with the project. While this didn't actively hurt the development of the app, given that at this point it was its own separate entity, not having any funding was a huge blow. Finally, in February of 2023, Bluesky launched an invite-only open beta for iOS users, later releasing for Android in April of that year. People were fucking hyped. Once they heard that there was going to be a Twitter alternative, essentially made by Jack Dorsey, that promised to get rid of all of Elon Musk's problems, requests for invites skyrocketed. Honestly, it was a really smart move to make things invite-only at first. It creates this sense of exclusivity and really mystifies the whole thing, generating more hype and intrigue. Although people really started to overhype the burst of success the app initially saw. I personally witnessed hundreds of people, including several of my mutuals, openly announcing they'd be permanently moving to Bluesky and never returning to Twitter. It was being called the future of social media, and everyone was clawing for an invite. And when I finally got my invite in August of 2023, the first thing I saw was gay furry porn on my timeline. Truly an amazing start. So I set up my account like usual with any new social media, and followed everyone I knew who had an account. And then after a few days I started to realize, there is nobody here. Despite the fact that there were about 450,000 people on the app, it was pretty much a ghost town. None of the people who I followed posted anything. My discover page was either a good morning post from strangers, or just photos of animals. Which was nice, but I'd like to see some cool art and animation, or memes, or jokes, or really anything besides those two things. But then I thought, you know what, it's still in beta and it's invite only. I'm sure once it goes public this place is gonna be massive. So I kind of slowly forgot about Bluesky and didn't post for 6 months. This invite-only open beta would last for about a year, and the user base would slowly grow to 3 million by February 2024. That's when Bluesky finally went public to everyone and there was a massive spike in new users. In only 1 month, Bluesky went from 3.1 million users to 5 million. That is absolutely insane. I decided to come back and check out the Now website since it was available for desktop now, as there were a lot of new features that people were asking for and millions of new users. However, after a month and a half, I slowly started to realize why people weren't really posting onto Bluesky, even with it being open to the public. The first problem is that the algorithm is really bad at recommending new content. Like I mentioned before, every post I would see would be from some 45-year-old wine mom, maybe some news articles here and there, or sometimes straight up porn that I didn't really want to see. Obviously, I understand how an algorithm works, and I actually need to put in the effort to make it suit my taste, but it's kind of hard to do that when I can't really find anything that suits my taste to begin with. Even when I do like and repost stuff I want to see more of, it just doesn't work and I get the same boring feed constantly. It really feels like the algorithm just doesn't care about what I'm actively liking to get a better feed, and just makes it random. I'm not the only person who feels this way actually. Tons of people who use Bluesky also report problems with the Discover feed and recommends things that they don't really have an interest in. Now, you could just use the following tab to only see posts from people you follow, but it dries up pretty quickly when, on average, the latest posts from the people I follow on Bluesky were from 1 or 2 months ago. Some of them haven't even posted in like 7 months and abandoned their accounts for probably the same reasons I did. Another problem is that Bluesky is still very buggy and lacking a lot of features that its main competitor Twitter does have. Bluesky does not have support for long-term videos, limited trending topics, no polls, scheduling posts, group chats, live audio spaces, bookmarks, and almost every post on the r/Bluesky subreddit is people reporting bugs and problems or asking questions about how the site functions. Not really a good look. Although I do like the starter pack feature that groups accounts depending on what they post, like artists, musicians, politicians, photographers, etc. Unique stuff like that is really cool, but not enough to keep people on board. Another issue is the Bluesky community, and the biggest reason why I wanted to make this video. The Bluesky community feels like it's been expertly crafted to attract the most chronically online, annoying, lame, humorless hall monitors that make it perpetually feel like it's Twitter in the year of 2020. Just a bunch of snarky, HR-coded, wimpy Disney adults that really drive people away from continually using the app. I know not everyone on Bluesky is like this, but it just feels like every post I see has at least a few of these people in the replies, or their posts are for some reason always on my timeline. It's so frustrating watching people pay more than 5 times the cost of making coffee at home, or any drink for that matter. That money could be helping someone who is dying of hunger, or someone who needs clean water infrastructure, or malaria netting even. I think it should be legal to break into nursing homes and fart on old people's heads until they puke or go to heaven. What the actual fuck is wrong with you? I hope you rot in prison for the rest of your life. I don't actually think that. And there it is. Schrodinger's asshole, ladies and gentlemen. Hard to tell, but I think they were making an incredibly edgy joke. That's weird. It says right here that jokes are supposed to be funny. Weird. Must be a pibby glitch. And obviously, I know modern Twitter is like 1,000 times worse for all the reasons I mentioned earlier in the video, but at least there's people here, and engagement with likes, retweets, and replies with a fairly active user base of hundreds of millions of people. Assuming like half of those are bots or fake accounts, that's still like 300 million people using the app and actually telling jokes, or posting memes, or having discussions, or participating in major trends. Bluesky just feels like it doesn't have any of that. It's a very niche community of like-minded people where, sure, things are more positive and less chaotic, but at least Twitter has huge numbers, important figures, and a bigger outreach to more people and communities. Bluesky's current active daily user base is only around 3.5 million people, which honestly is not a lot in the grand scheme of things. Especially since this is being compared to the 245 million daily active users on Twitter, which is like 80 times more. Keep in mind, it's also only been a full year since it's been open to the public, so maybe it needs more time to take off. Although, ever since the 2024 election, numbers and growth have been on a slow yet steady decline as more and more people lose interest, shown by these graphs right here. Bluesky doesn't seem like a horrible website, honestly. There's a lot of unique features and decent moderation compared to its competitor Twitter, but it also looks like it can't really get people to stay. There aren't enough people to interact and engage with, the algorithm sucks, the community is very divisive, and it's also just kind of funny to see this cycle happen over and over. Elon makes a stupid decision, people get angry, they say they're permanently moving to Bluesky, they get bored, they come back a week later. But that's pretty much all I have to say about this new social media. Can it get better? Hopefully. But so far it really hasn't hooked me and many others into using it on a regular basis. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. Have a good night, everybody.